Brought to you by Hug House Productions.
Hi, hello, listener of Never Morphed. If you like this show, I am convinced you are going to love The Newest Olympian by Mike Schubert. Why am I so certain? Because that's one of the shows that inspired this show. Real ones who listen to the credits already know. Each week, Mike dives into the Percy Jackson series, which I love, joined by guests who are longtime fans of the Rick Riordan series. If you haven't read these books yet, this is the perfect way to get started and read along with Mike. They're so good. And like Animorphs, they're kids' books that touch on way more serious topics than you might expect. And they're about worldwide mythologies, starting with Greek and Roman. I know you gays love mythology. If you have already read the books and know how good they are, you'll love this series too. The dramatic irony, man. And if you know about the books from the Disney Plus series, Mike has done interviews and conversations with some of the cast of the show on The Newest Olympian too. Mike is a great host, a great editor, and obviously a huge inspiration for me. You can find The Newest Olympian in the show notes or wherever you get your podcasts. Go subscribe right now and enjoy. Welcome back to Never Morphed. It's the last episode of book number 10. Yeah, sure. It is. Again, I am joined by guest Leigh Pfeffer. We're having a great time. You know the drill. You know what Never Morphed is. This is the last part of a book. Don't jump in right now. You know that. Surely you know that. Okay, let's go. Enjoy. Oh my God, they died! No! End of podcast! Fuck, no! Okay, here it is. Okay, let's get back to this book. So, chapter 19, Marco is doing his homework when Eric calls, and they thought that they were going to have like a full week to prepare and test the Batmorphs. And no, Eric is like, hey, so that thing that we're going to do next week, why don't we do it right now?
What are we doing?
And Marco
literally
like,
tonight, right now.
Yeah, literally tonight.
Hello.
And Marco was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Because he knows that means that something is bad. So they meet up at the barn, including Eric and including Axe. And Eric says that the Yeerks are adding even more security around this crystal. And Tobias is like, okay, so if anything, this should just make us take a longer time because Eric doesn't know what this new security system is. He can't figure it out. And Tobias is like, great, so let's just let them install it and then we can take a few weeks to figure it out and then we can move. And Eric is like, nah, babe, like it is already borderline impossible to get to this thing. This is not going to make it easier. This is going to make it so much worse. So they vote on it and they are going to go do it, even though Marco really doesn't fucking want to because this shit fucking sucks. So they get to they literally that night, they head off. They're going to go fucking do this. They get to the top of the Matcom tower. They're in their owl morphs. They demorph, morph into bugs, and we start our little Mission Impossible music. Mm-hmm. And Axe and Marco are spiders. The rest are in their cockroach morphs. And their plan is Marco and Axe are going to go down a pipe that goes down the entire building. And they're going to let out a string of silk. Wolf spiders don't make webs, but they do have silk. And they're going to use that and go all the way down with that string so that the others in the cockroach morph can use it to climb down on.
Itsy bitsy spider.
I did, in my live reactions, I did say very itsy bitsy of them. And they start, Axe and Marco start going down this pipe, and then full on they run out of silk, and they were like, oh, we did not think of this.
My butt's empty. Oh no.
Oh no, my butt. And so they fall the rest of the way, and they're like, hope we don't die. And then
Good
they don't
thing
die.
They're teeny tiny things with exoskeletons that can follow a long distance.
Yeah, thank fuck. So they get into this building, and I'm not gonna lie, chapter 21, I was like, okay, whatever. Their plan is that they're gonna navigate through this building, and part of it includes walking over a furnace because this is the heating and ventilation, like the heating and AC pipe. And Cassie is like, hi, sorry, did you say furnace?
Furnace?
And they're like, yeah. And she's like, okay, what if it's on, stupid?
We gonna be
they're
crispy.
like, crispy. And Rachel's like, well, it's not that cold out.
Again, another moment where Cassie is like,
Yes.
hey, dumbasses.
Yes. She's so funny in this book. And again, just like clear that they did not have time to plan. And this is it's already going to shit. They ran out of silk from the butts. The furnace is a furnace. So they're going, and then they start getting chased by a rat in the pipe, and then the rat chases them, and it chases them over the furnace. And the description of the furnace is genuinely so fucking haunting and scary. Marco can't see what he's on really, but he knows that there's like these giant spires, and it smells like death. And he thinks of these spires as like a post-apocalyptic graveyard, and all of these spires are graves. And then he realizes that it's the furnace, and it's all of the like pipes where the hot gas comes out. That description was fucked up.
Yeah.
But the rest of this
very
chapter,
apocalyptic.
Very. The rest of the chapter is like, okay, whatever. Hijinks. They get through. It's fine. They almost get dead, but they don't, and it's fine. They get to the high security room. In here, it is completely pitch black like they expected. They realize that like there could be Hork-Bajir in here, and they would never know.
Yeah.
Because it's so dark. So they have to demorph. They have to get into the room and demorph, and they cannot be more than 2 feet away from the wall, or they're fucked. So they do that.
So Axe must be sideways.
Yes. Like they're
like this is what I'm thinking of. Like Axe has to be sideways against the wall because that boy juts out further than 2 feet.
Yeah, he got centaur shape, so he must be sideways. And the others are like hugged up against the wall like Kronk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's sticky outy.
He is real sticky outy. And that is not convenient at present. So luckily this works. And then they morph into bats, and they're like, well, what do we do now? And Cassie is like, just trust the bat, Marco. Because Marco is being put in charge of this again. And he's like, okay, I guess. So he lets Bat Instinct take over. And it works. He uses the echolocation using his little like from his mouth. And it works.
Sorry, do that again? What was it again? Beautiful.
Just like that.
Just two homos echolocating at each other across the country via the internet. Wow, Will, your hair looks really nice today.
Oh my God, thanks. So he gets through all these wires and everything, and it's totally fine. They get through, and it's great. Like, it's no problems. And then they get to this crystal, which is on this table, and it's small. It's like the size of a grape. And they're like, okay, perfect. We don't have hands, but we have mouths. So we'll pick it up in our mouth. And they're like, oh, mouth is where echolocate comes from.
Yeah.
What do we do?
I love the roast that Axe gives everyone and himself at the end of this chapter. Just, I believe our plan now has somewhat of a flaw.
Yes.
Oops.
They really, they didn't have any time to think this through, and it shows.
Yeah, dummies.
Yeah. So their plan is bad, but I don't know what else they could have done here, really. Like, This is really a no-win situation. So their plan is to demorph by the crystal. I don't feel like I really got a grasp of like how big this table that the crystal is on. Like, I didn't think that they had enough room to do all this, but whatever. It's fine.
It's wibbly. It's fine. It's Mission Impossible. It's good.
Yep. So they're gonna demorph and then morph back into their battle morphs and run.
Like, all right, we gotta do the big guns.
Yep. So they use their echolocation to find the door out of this room, and they just kind of like point themselves in that direction because they're not going to be able to see anything.
Yeah.
And they go into battle morphs, and luckily Rachel in bear morph just slices and dices through that door. Their plan is to just keep fucking running, to not engage with any kind of conflict, any kind of battle. They just have to get the fuck out of here. So they head out. The alarms go off immediately, of course, which we were expecting. They just keep running. They're like weaving through this building, trying to find any exit. And finally, they get to the lobby, and it has windows to the outside. But it also has like 20 human controllers with automatic rifles and 24 or more Hork-Bajir. So, chapter 24, a middle-aged older lady human controller.
You just opened this chapter's notes with Jesus.
Yeah, I did. So often, when I'm in the last 20% of these books, my notes will just start with like, oh my God, what the fuck? Like,
I mean, yeah, that tracks. That's the that's the formula.
Yeah. So she walks towards them and she's like, hey, chill the fuck out. Here's the thing. I don't want to kill you. We don't have to do violence. I'll just hand you over to Visser 3. It's fine. And if you want to fight, he'll take you dead. Sure. But I'll get much more of a promotion.
She would be in so much fucking trouble.
He'd be so pissed.
He'd be so mad.
So pissed that he didn't get to do it.
Yeah. Because he doesn't want them to stay alive for, like, the very important, like, strategic role of, yes, let us get more morphable bodies into this war. No, he doesn't want anybody else to have that power. He just wants to kill them all. Yeah. He wants to gloat in front of them.
100%.
I love that cartoon of a man.
Yeah, he's the best. He's the funniest guy.
So funny.
So then Marco is like, well, hold up now. And he holds up the crystal. And she's like, give me that. Give me that right now. Give me that right now. And he's like, no. I mean, he doesn't say that out loud. He's a gorilla. But
he shakes his head no.
Yeah. And at that point, this human controller is like, okay, human controllers, drop your weapons now. We cannot even potentially a little bit come close to accidentally, potentially shooting that crystal. It will be bad. And the humans are all like, oh, man. But Marco knows that this is not a win for them. And in fact, she just sends the Hork-Bajir after them. And what ensues is carnage.
Yeah.
They are being absolutely fucking obliterated by these Hork-Bajir. Obliterated. On top of this, Eric is outside the window looking in at what his request is doing to them. Mm-hmm. He is watching them get fully, completely decimated, just gruesomely killed for his own purposes, which again begs the questions of what is and is not violence.
Right.
And
he literally can't do anything.
No, he can't do anything. He literally cannot do anything. And Marco sees him as literally there is a hole in his abdomen and he can see all of his innards. And Marco, with literally his last ounce of strength, crawls, dying, to the window with this crystal in his hand, drags himself through this hideous battlefield and punches through the window and he doesn't even give Eric the crystal because he's dying. His hand is still clenched around the crystal. He feels Eric unfurl his fingers for him to get the crystal out, and then Marco fucking dies.
Yeah.
Marco fully dies in this book. Now, he gets better, but he does fucking die.
I mean, I think it's like he is in the process of dying. It's like, no. You're right. He fully dies. He
dies all the way.
He dies all the way. That's right.
Yeah, he's all the way dead. So when he wakes back up, he is in his human form. Thank God. And he's like, wow, that's crazy. I thought I died. And they're like, bitch, you did. Eric had to defib you with electricity. We had to bring you back from being literally all the way dead. It's crazy. And Eric, meanwhile, is silent and sobbing. He is not looking at anybody. He's just looking down. And Marco's like, so what the fuck happened then? And he finds out, the others fill him in, Rachel fills him in, that Eric took the crystal, he reprogrammed himself to do violence, and then Eric killed everything. The human controllers, gone. All of the Hork-Bajir, gone. He killed all of them. And he killed them all, as Rachel says, in about 10 seconds. And Rachel, I need to just emphasize here, Rachel, War Crimes the girl, is tearing up because of how fucking brutal and horrific it was.
Yeah.
And Axe also is fucked up. Axe from the War Crimes planet is talking about how fucked up it was. And Marco, seeing Rachel and Axe fucked up by how fucked up this was, is also, in turn, fucked up by this.
Yeah. He says, that's what brought the horror home to me. Rachel's tears.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Axe's arm was fully pulled off. And
yeah,
Eric reattached it.
Yeah. And Eric has not said a single word since that.
Yeah.
This was so, like, stirring. This was so well written.
Yeah. Marco saying, like, why would a robot cry?
Yes. We get a real Tears in the Rain moment here. Yeah. Where Marco is questioning the connection between the projection and the android of, like, why would he make the projection cry? But, like, maybe they are just that entwined. But regardless, even if he's making the projection cry, he can tell, like, the honesty in what is going on through this expression. Because the first thing, God, the first thing Eric says after all of this is he looks at Marco and he says, how do you live with the memories?
Yep. Now you know why I really, really wanted to read that passage earlier.
Yes.
Because
it's talk about that more. Talk about that more. Yes.
It's just it is so much about the visceral experience of enacting violence and what it does to your sense of self and your body.
Yeah.
Marco says, I knew what he meant. See, win or lose, right or wrong, the memory of violence sits inside your head. It sits there like some lump you can't quite swallow. It sits there, a black hole that darkens hope and eats away at everyday happiness like a cancer. It's the shadow you take into your own heart and try to live with. Woof.
Ugh. Woof.
Woof. Oh,
Like a dog.
Oh, yeah, like a dog.
Yeah, and then things get fucking worse.
Ugh.
Because Marco is like, you just have to try to forget. Like, you just have to try to not think about it. And Eric is like, he points to his head and he's like, I am an android. I can't forget. Like, that's there forever.
Yeah.
That's there as vivid as it just happened forever. And Marco's narration reads, I realized then why the Pemalites had forbidden their creatures to kill. The Chi lived forever. Forever was a long time to remember what Eric had done. Jesus Christ. And because of this, Eric used the crystal to go back to his nonviolent programming and says that he can't do this. He cannot fight with them. He can't do it.
The only thing Marco can say to him after that is just, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And
oh my God.
The only thing that Eric is able to say is just, yes, before he tells him that he's changed his programming back.
Truly some of the best writing on trauma and war that I've ever read. And I've read a lot.
Now do you know why I was like, hey, I want to do this book?
Yes. Yeah. What a strong pick. Wow.
Yeah. He says, I've changed my programming back. Maybe at times I can tell you things, information, but I'll never fight again. I can't join this war, my friend. And it's like, he can still be indispensable to them. But like, this is a line. This is a line that has been crossed that he cannot cross anymore.
And I love that all of them are like, yeah. No, we totally support you.
Yeah. Marco's like, what if I can never forget?
Yeah.
I love the way he, we're talking about things like, he mentions that there's a scar on Axe's arm, and that's one of the first things that he notices when he wakes up. And the way he describes his response before I realized then why the Pemalites had forbidden their creatures to kill, the thing he says to himself right after Eric tells him that he can't forget, he says, already in my own human mind, the memories of that night's horror were fading. The flash of blades and the pain around the pain and the sickening feeling of my fist closing around the Hork-Bajir's throat. Not the pain of my insides spilling out from my body.
Nope.
Not the pain of being kicked in the head and almost dying, but the sickening feeling of my fist closing around the Hork-Bajir's throat. They were being covered over by scar tissue. And the idea that like he's forgetting it, like he will be able to forget it, but it's a scar tissue. It was always there, and it has irrevocably changed him.
Yeah, and I want to read the end of this chapter too.
Yeah.
Narration reads, so he gets home and he's trying to sleep, but Marco says, I was beyond exhausted, but I couldn't sleep. Too many images, too many memories. And I was afraid of the nightmares. There are evil things in life, and I guess there are times when a human being has to fight those evils. I closed my eyes and wandered, lost and afraid, through my nightmares. And already, my mind was forgetting. To which in my notes I said, okay, Catherine, damn. Which translates to, I think that this is maybe the single best written chapter in the series so far.
Yeah.
It is like incredible. It's incredibly written. I was moved and shaken and like I just had to kind of sit with this one. And I keep thinking about this specific chapter and the way that it unfolds. And again, the line by line writing. This is such a poetic chapter. I think this is the chapter that is the most well written to me so far. I'm going to be thinking about this one for a while.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is something that I just connected is an assumption, or if this is actually something that Catherine and Michael were explicitly trying to allude to. But this scene of watching the destruction, also the very, very specific fact that it was over in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It was over in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Is so strongly reminiscent to me of the reactions upon the dropping of the 2 bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Totally. And this must have been, like, that was in their lifetimes. Like, they were alive for that, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, like, the co-pilot of the Enola Gay, what's his name? Captain Lewis? You know, there's a very famous quote. It's just like in his log, he wrote, "My God, what have we done?"
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, like, it's just woof. Like,
yeah. Like, what is there even else to say?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. No, you're totally right. I again, like, I didn't even think about that. I didn't really connect it to that, but I think you must be right. Even if it wasn't intentional, like, I think that this is how a lot of millennials will subconsciously write about 9/11 and everything after that, which is a very, very, very different situation.
Right.
I want to be clear. Yeah. But I mean in the way that, like, we are so deeply impacted by these traumatizing global events that, like, it changes how all media afterwards acts. Yeah, and I think you're totally right. I think that that's such an apt parallel here. And I also think that it makes what happens in the next chapter a little bit less fucking annoying. So we've got one more chapter here. Classic Animorphs final chapter. Marco and Jake are playing with Homer on a beach, which is very cute. It's been a week since shit went down. Marco ran into Eric at the 7-Eleven, and he thinks that Eric was probably trying to run into him. Eric gives him a number to call that is a completely secure phone line where they can just leave each other messages should they ever need to, which is great. Homer is playing with some other dogs, and Marco is still holding the crystal. And the other dogs, like, kind of look over, and there's almost, like, a recognition. Like, they see the crystal, and there's kind of a recognition there, which I thought was very cool, because they have the Pimolite souls, and the Pimolites would know what this is. And Homer takes the crystal in his mouth and goes out to sea. And that is where he leaves the crystal, and the crystal is gone. Which, when I was first reading it, I was like, now narratively, I understand why this has to happen, because they can't have this for any book henceforth to make sense, because this is an extremely overpowered thing. But I am very annoyed, and I don't think that this was very responsible of them. Thinking about it from the perspective of nuclear warfare, no, this was good.
Yeah.
This was correct. This was the correct choice. Yeah.
And I really want to hone in on the, like, yes, this was what Eric wanted them to do, but we have to frame this as, like, the Animorphs essentially activating and utilizing a weapon.
Yep.
And you probably thought that I just wanted to talk about it because dogs.
Honestly, you could have told me literally any reason that you wanted to do this one, and I would have believed you at this point. Yeah, this one's got all the clowns in it. Okay. Sure. On to our rankings. My rankings have actually not changed since the last book. Have your rankings changed at all since the last time we talked?
Oh, man, I'm trying to even remember what the fuck my rankings were, because it was so long ago. I didn't get a chance to think about this before. I don't know. I mean, as much as this is, like, a Marco book, it is also, it's so, there's so many, like, long-term, like, consequences that we think about for Tobias as well in this book that I love.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was good, this book.
I'm still, like, I love God, I mean, this book definitely brings Marco up higher for me.
Yeah. My number of the kids, my number 1 is Marco and my number 2 is Tobias. So we're already we're already set.
Well, your number 1 is Visser 1 still.
Yeah, obviously. She's so hot.
God, so I don't think we ever even really get like a description of her. No, she just exudes hot mom energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the vibe. I don't need anything else. The vibe is there. I'm in. I will say overall, I have placed Eric just below Jake. Jake is currently my least favorite Animorph only because I haven't gotten a Jake POV in a really long time. And that just kind of happens. He's fine. I love him. We all love Jake, obviously. But Eric is just below him.
That is what happens. I, rereading these as an adult, I have come to such a larger appreciation for Jake. Because reading these books as I was, when I was a kid, it kind of sometimes gives the just the protagonist syndrome of like, yes, well, this is like, my growing up, my least favorite character in Buffy was Buffy. And now and then I go back and I'm like, oh wow, this poor child, and I think about that a lot with Jake, but like, I feel like sometimes Jake gets kind of, cornered into the and here's the leader.
Right.
And
he's got a lot of nuance.
He's got so much nuance. So
reading it as an adult, reading it as a kid, I totally would have been with you. I would have been like, a boy, I don't care. A boy who's not even that funny, I don't care. But reading it now, reading it as an adult, getting introduced to him this way, he's got so much going on. He is such a fascinating little guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love the moments in which he just kind of lets himself be, Marco's best friend. Also, I feel like this book, really, Marco and Jake are so gay for each other. I love it.
Okay. Yes. Marco's bisexual.
100%.
100%.
Hundo.
Yeah, undeniably he is bisexual. I don't care what anybody says. He is bisexual. I'm claiming him. He's
exactly.
ours.
Oh yeah, that's generally pretty well accepted in the fandom. Is like
good.
Tobias is extremely transcoded, and Marco is our baby bisexual baby boy.
Correct. I would also put out there that I think that Rachel is pretty transcoded too.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Are you ready for our next segment?
Sure.
Now, Vermorph, if you were going to be a little creature or something, if you were going to morph right now, what would it be?
I would be... it's chilly in my apartment right now. Oh my God, I think this is the exact... No, I have to change my answer because I think I already gave this. Because I think it was chilly in my apartment when we last talked.
Oh my God, because it's almost been a year.
Yeah, and I was like, I want to crawl into my lizard's enclosure and bask under the lamp. And I was like, okay, no, I think I just had a moment where like that just came to me, and I think that I had already said that. Nothing if not consistent, I guess. You know what? If I could morph into anything right now, I would like to morph into a... You know what? I'm just gonna say gorilla. I think that Marco's got a good thing going for him. Just chill, eat some leaves, be big.
Yeah. That does sound really chill. And it also sounds like nobody could fuck with you. Right.
I could also still watch TV. I have thumbs. I have opposable thumbs.
Oh, that's so true.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a good plan. For me, I would be a very specific garter snake.
Ooh, I love garters.
Now, I have a little story for you.
Yes, please give me this next story.
Did you know that when Teddy Roosevelt was president, he had his eldest daughter, Alice.
Oh, Alice Roosevelt, you crazy son of a bitch.
She was crazy. She was addicted to mischief. I'm in love with her, I think, And I'm especially in love with her because she had a pet. A pet garter snake.
Mm-hmm.
And the snake's name is the funniest name I've ever heard in my life. And the snake's name is Emily Spinach.
Yeah. Emily
This
Spinach.
is the funniest name I've ever heard in my life. Emily Spinach. It's so good. Emily Spinach, she was a garter snake and she lived in the White House. I'm obsessed with her. All I want in life is to be Emily Spinach right now.
Amazing.
So funny.
I have a friend who has a hognose snake, which I also have a hognose snake, but
very good.
Her hognose snake is Sir Isaac Snooten.
That's very good.
Yeah,
and that's perfect because they really do have snoots. They have
just little snoots. It's great.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah,
Emily Spinach. I just literally probably 3 to 5 times a day. I will just think Emily Spinach and just laugh. It's just so fucking funny. That's the funniest name imaginable. It's so good. It's so good. Are you ready for our next segment? The one that is new to you, but I have informed you before coming on the show. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Forever Morph. If you were going to be a Nothlit, what form would you take? I'm here to take science and data. Take science?
Take science.
Take it.
God, I feel like I wanted to do a cheaty answer, but I don't think that it would actually work because I don't think that you could. I was thinking about this and I was I could do a cheaty answer and say an Elimist, but I don't think that they actually have
they don't got DNA.
an actual corporeal form that you could acquire as a morph.
Yeah.
So
would you really want all that going on in your head all the time? That sounds fucking exhausting.
It's more the consideration of what we learn in this book.
Okay.
About zero space, right?
Okay.
About
fair.
I would not want
so
to
fair.
be itty bitty Tobias with
the goop.
With the goop.
Mm-mm.
As well as just being small enough for something to possibly eat me. So I would want to be something big.
Yeah.
But nimble enough to be able to do shit. I thought about it'd be cool to be a whale shark. But
I do love them.
Because nothing
scared of whales, but I love a whale shark.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's nothing's probably gonna eat me. And I'm well, you never know. The ocean.
You never know.
I mean,
but you couldn't read books or listen to music.
True, if I was a whale shark.
Yeah.
But if I just took somebody else's identity.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
What if I just morph another just morph another guy? Just morph another guy.
Morph another guy.
Just morph another little guy.
Who would you morph though?
Oh.
I do think a random anonymous person is a valid answer here.
Yeah.
I do also think that you could do a lot with a lot of other DNA too.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about this a lot. It's man, I'd really love to, it would be great to be able to be a burb, but also I don't know that I want that life for forever and constantly, I would like to be able to actually be in a morph where I could fucking sleep, right? I'd like to sleep.
Yeah, sleep is awesome, actually.
You know what? Maybe I'd be a dog. Maybe that might be my forever morph.
I do think if we can take any lesson solidly from this book, it's that you should be a dog.
Yeah. I'd be happy. I wouldn't have to pay taxes. And, hopefully before I become a Nothlit, we can arrange for me to have a healthy, happy, good, safe, warm home.
Yeah.
And I'll just eat cheeseburgers and hang out. And, I won't be around for a hugely long time, but it'll be a good time.
Yeah, especially if you're eating cheeseburgers. It definitely wouldn't be a long time.
Well, it's, it would be a,
no onions.
No onions. But it would be
No
like
onions.
a, you know, it'd be a sneaky steal it off the kitchen table sort of every once in a while. And then when I was, you know, like a senior, then, you know, everybody would be like, whatever, they can eat anything they want. Yes,
That's
take
so
me
true.
through the doggy drive-through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think dog is a solid answer.
Would you be an Irish setter?
No,
That's fair.
I think that I would probably be, God, I would probably be something like a Bernese Mountain Dog, like a big goofy doofy boy.
Really,
you know,
minimizing that mass issue.
Yeah, just chilling.
I love it.
Yeah,
Good, solid pick.
Yeah.
I will put in the data. I mean, the science. I'm neutral.
You have taken my
unbiased.
Science
Yes.
for forever.
Forever. I've taken it.
And using it for your own totally not nefarious purposes.
Ha-ha!
Ha-ha!
Well, Leigh, thank you so much for joining me for this absolutely fucking buck wild book. It is, of course, always a pleasure to have you on. I'm sure that we already have something, again, booked for a future episode, but if not, we'll get something booked soon.
Never Morphed is hosted, edited, and produced by Will Williams. Our theme music is The Chase by Joey Hendricks. Our title is by Eddie Feely, and this podcast would not exist without Mike Schubert's podcast, Potterless and the Newest Olympian. You can find his works at shub.es, that's shub.es. Never Morphed is a proud member of Hug House Productions. You can find more at hughouse.productions and follow us on Tumblr at Nevermorphed. Get morphin'!